A blessing in disguise. We are talking about what Sean McVay had to say about a very important Rams player being hurt. We are also talking about a couple of names to look out for as the trade deadline approaches. All on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Giron. Remember, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and press the subscribe button now, as roughly 4,497 subscribers is where we currently sit. I would love to get to 5,000 subscribers some point in the near future. So do us a favor if you enjoy the content, if you're having fun and listening to what we are talking about every single day here on the Rams Digest, and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any daily Rams content. We're going to get all into what the Rams are talking about in terms of some interesting stuff, right? A blessing in disguise for a very important player on the Rams. We're talking about Sean McVay saying that about Puka Nacua's injury. It was actually a blessing in disguise. And I think we can all kind of use some context clues and really think about what it was Sean McVay is referring to when he calls this injury a blessing in disguise. All of a sudden, the Rams have to spread the football around. They have to run the football efficiently. They cannot no longer rely on the genius and greatness that is of Puka Nacua so far early in his NFL career. The Rams have heavily relied on Puka Nacua. Third and Nacua, right, is what we kind of call it. Every single time the Rams are in a rut on third down, they need to get a first down, they go to Puka very, very often. And so this injury is going to force the Rams. It's going to challenge the Rams to be a team that has to be a little bit more balanced outside of just their one superstar. So here's what Sean McVay had to say about calling it a blessing in disguise. He says, I think what ended up happening is, sometimes these things that are challenges can be blessings in disguise. Let's not lose sight of, we've got Puka, we've got Davante Adams, but we've got these great players that we want to take advantage of. And I thought that was illustrated by being able to have multiple personnel groupings, multiple guys involved, and where they've got some plays where they could maybe be the primary target in a progression. So essentially, I know I paraphrased him a lot there that during the whole basically monologue, if you will, from Sean McVay. But essentially what he is saying is, this gives more opportunity for other players who the Rams need to be involved. We talk all the time about Tyler Higbee, right? Whether it's wanting a new tight end to kind of step up and be involved, or just in general, the Rams using their tight ends a little bit more. Well, guess what? No Puka Nacua, Colby Parkinson's having catches down the field. Tyler Higbee's having catches down the field. All of a sudden, Terrence Ferguson is in the building. I almost thought I called him the wrong name here. Terrence Ferguson's in the building making catches, making plays, right? Blake Corum's getting involved. Kyren Williams and Davante Adams is now heavily involved, right? Breaking records and making history out in London. Heavily involved in the red zone and all the way down the field. He's a little bit more involved as well. And then the other names, right? The Jordan Whittingtons, the Tutu Atwells, right? Kind of forcing them to be the first looks, first read options during progressions throughout certain play calling. That is going to be key for the Rams because it gives those guys an opportunity to shine, but also gives them an opportunity to get comfortable, build confidence, so that way when it comes down to end of the season, Puka, knock on wood, if he's healthy, cross your fingers, that you'll have him there. If you have Puka, you have Davante, and you've force-fed other guys to be involved in the offense because Puka is hurt, that is where the blessing in disguise kind of really flourishes, and it kind of really shows its value of like, oh wow, we got challenged, we had to figure out how to get other guys involved in the offense. Now all of a sudden this offense is flowing a little bit smoother because other guys know how to get involved, and Stafford's trusting these other guys as well, on top of what Puka and Davante Adams bring to the table. So I can see what Sean McVay is saying. Very interesting stuff to see here. Obviously into the bye, we're hoping Puka Nacua comes out of the bye healthy, but also the Rams hopefully could really take advantage of the fact that they have these other guys on the roster that are also very, very talented players. So let me know how you guys feel about that in the comment section down below. Some people could be offended by him saying blessing in disguise for any injury, but I think we can all understand kind of what he's saying when he means that. What he means when he says that. Moving on from that, as I'm flipping over here all over the place. Trade block, right? Here is Bleacher Report's Week 8 trade block. Some guys that are on the big board of the trade rumors right now. And a couple guys right here. You see an edge rusher in Jalen Phillips from Miami. You see Jacoby Myers, top right from the Raiders. Couple guys the Rams don't really need right now, right? So what are the names the Rams could use? What are the names the Rams could need on their roster to help build for a Super Bowl. Remember, back when the Rams won the Super Bowl, getting guys like Jalen Ramsey and obviously already having Aaron Donald and kind of just building out this offense and defense really to be as stacked as humanly possible. That was kind of what they did to kind of help win and push them over the hump to win that Super Bowl, I think, when it was all said and done, right? Trading your quarterback, Jared Goff, to go get Matthew Stafford. It was kind of an all-in, risky, if you will, move for the Rams to do certain things like that. Maybe some people at the time, I remember some people said, well, I don't know, Goff isn't that much worse of a quarterback than Matthew Stafford. And I think Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer, great quarterback. But maybe some people now, after some success in Detroit, will say, yeah, Jared Goff is still a pretty good quarterback. Is he as good as Matthew Stafford? I don't know, maybe not. One guy has a Super Bowl, one guy doesn't. But ultimately, I think, it's safe to say that they were kind of comparable players at that time. And so, for the Rams to go all in and go for that Super Bowl, that is kind of what you want to see from them here in this trade season, because the Rams are very good. We know they have a lot of guys on the roster. We know they're a good team, but we want them to put themselves over the hump far and away from these other contenders to really prove and show that you're going all in for a Super Bowl, because that's ultimately all that matters for a lot of Rams fans out there, right? You don't really care to see the Rams win a lot of games in the playoffs in the regular season. You want to see the Rams win a Super Bowl, right? So here is one name that I just don't think is that realistic, but hey, it's on the list of top 10 players the Rams could potentially look into trading. Not necessarily the Rams specifically, but anybody could look into trading for these players. And a couple of names I think maybe the Rams could be interested in if they actually are available. And one of those guys is Jackson Powers-Johnson. Love this guy coming out of the draft out of Oregon. Naturally plays center, a very good center at that. I remember coming out of the draft, we think, oh, wow, this guy could be one of the best centers in the draft, one of the best centers in the league, just initially starting out his career. Just kind of thought he could be a very good center at the next level. The Oakland Raiders, or the Vegas Raiders, I'm sorry, I don't know why I call them Oakland. It's been years. The Vegas Raiders decide to draft him, but then kind of don't really know where to fit him on that offensive line. It's almost like the Rams when they brought in Bo Limmer, right? You bring him in, okay, center, he wasn't really working super strong for you, so you try him at guard on both sides, and now he's not really being active, or he's not really playing heavily for you on this offensive line. There's just not really space there, it feels like, for Jackson Powers-Johnson. Now, the team is also struggling. The team is also not really playing super well for the Las Vegas Raiders, so maybe it's kind of iffy because he's 22 years old, but maybe, just maybe, the Raiders might say, you know what, we're not using him to the full capacity right now. We're not necessarily using him to, the tone of what we drafted him at. And so let's trade him for a new piece here. Let's kind of move on, think about the future. Yes, he's 22, but we're not using him on the offensive line anytime soon. Let's go ahead and move on from him. Maybe. That's the potential there. So you see here, projected trade value, 2026, 4th-round pick, and or a veteran cornerback. Again, I think it's still kind of a low cost, I would say, for a guy who was just recently a 2024 2nd-round pick. So I don't know if this would happen. I don't know if this is realistic to ask for. I think you'd have to pay maybe a little bit more than a 4th-round pick, but an interesting name. The Rams can have a young future star center for you moving forward outside of Coleman Shelton. I think that could be an idea for the Rams to look into. But if you're not interested in that, you don't really care for that, well, let's move on to the other idea here. The Rams need some cornerback help, right? I think that they've been playing pretty well and okay. Obviously, you see in London, they played pretty well against Jacksonville, although we know Jacksonville's passing offense especially has not been the best this season, with their receivers kind of being up and down. Obviously, Travis Hunter playing a little bit of defense. He kind of blew up actually in that game in London, but he hasn't really been playing super well consistently. Brian Thomas Jr. as well on that offense has not been playing super well. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been playing super well consistently, at least for them. So that passing offense wasn't great, but the Rams looked pretty good against them. So fine, sure, maybe they're getting better. Maybe we'd be patient with the defensive backs the Rams have right now. Or you call up Tennessee, you say, hey, who do you have available? Okay, maybe not this guy, maybe not that guy. Well, how about Roger McCreary, the cornerback that you guys have on the roster? Kind of a veteran guy here. Maybe the Rams go call him up, pay about maybe a 4th-round pick or so in the next year's draft. Here we go. Ian Rappaport actually listed Roger McCreary as a member of the Titans who is drawing interest around the league and who would be more available than some of the other guys they have on their roster. So look, he's played a premium position that several teams are looking to address. So that could also be a factor where you're bidding against other teams here. 25-year-old cornerback, so it's not just a current, hey, win now move. It's a win now move, and also, hey, this guy's pretty good, pretty young. Let's see if we can add him to the cornerback room for the future of this room here. And so he's not a top-tier cornerback. He hasn't developed into being a top-tier cornerback. Maybe a change of scenery, a new coaching staff, obviously with Sean McVay's coaching pedigree. Maybe that helps kind of change the change of scenery as well. All kind of help and blend into him being a better cornerback than he has been so far in Tennessee. An interesting name there, just throwing it out there. A couple names that are on the trade block that I think make sense. A lot of the other names are like Kayvon Thibodeau from the Giants. I mean, Jalen Phillips from Miami. I mean, just a lot of edge rushers right now, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think the Rams really need that right now. And we'll wait and see if the Rams make any moves. I don't know if they'll be heavy, crazy, intense buyers at this time around in terms of the trade deadline, but maybe they try to add a piece or two. Let me know any names you guys have out there, by the way. If you're like, oh, I really want to trade for this player. Obviously, don't throw Christian McCaffrey in the mix. Be realistic with these trade offers, but I want to kind of hear what you guys have to say. Names you guys think the Rams could use on a potential Super Bowl run in this upcoming postseason. So, moving on from that, last but not least, my favorite part of the episode, I ask a trivia question every single episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. It's called Trivia of the Day. I ask a question. You guys give your trivia guesses down below in the comment section. And whether you're right or whether you're wrong, we give you a shout out on the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. Last episode, Trivia of the Day. This was a question we asked everyone. We said, which NFL team became the first to win a Super Bowl in its home stadium? We had some multiple choice options for you all here. Those multiple choice options were, was it A, the New Orleans Saints? Was it B, the Arizona Cardinals? Was it C, Los Angeles Rams? Or was it D, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Maybe I mixed up how I said it in the last video. I don't really know. But the correct answer, I'll give it to you in a couple seconds. First, let's shout out some people here who played along with the trivia of the day. We had Juan saying, what up, Josh? What up, Juan? Such a great game. Totally worth getting up early. Rams need to play like that if they want to win a Super Bowl. On trivia, it was the Buccaneers. Go Rams. STL Rams fan says, Tampa Bay is my answer. Fran Varga says Bucks, but it was the COVID Super Bowl, so no fans except medical personnel. Benny says Tampa Bay did it the following year. Oh, Tampa Bay Rams did it the following year. The Real J Will says it bugs me that they don't use Whittington. Hear you on that one. The Real J Will, he says Tampa Bay unfortunately should have been the Rams. Yeah, almost was the Rams. 1 year short of that. Next, MD says Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Floyd says Tampa. Chris Dever says Tampa. Raymond says Tampa. And Benny says Tampa. Rams, I think I screenshotted him twice. So, all of the people who guessed with the trivia of the day had the same guess. Usually, that kind of means everyone is on the same page. And that also means everyone probably got it correct. The correct answer for who was the first team in NFL history to host a Super Bowl literally at their home stadium, the correct answer is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was interesting too because the Rams hosted the following year, happened to be at SoFi. Rams host a Super Bowl. It was interesting to see everyone kind of say NFL's rigged back-to-back years. The home state, like home team is hosting. That's kind of crazy. Obviously jokes and stuff, so that was kind of interesting. But yes, appreciate all of you guys for playing along with the trivia of the day. Also a special shout out to every single one of you guys for getting the trivia of the day correctly. If you guys are watching this video and you're like, I knew that was Tampa, that was easy, well then play along with today's trivia of the day so you can get a shout out just like these folks on the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. Today's episode's trivia of the day, this is a question we have for everyone. We said, which defensive player won Super Bowl MVP despite not recording a sack, an interception, or a forced fumble? Kind of an interesting one there. Which defensive player won Super Bowl MVP despite not recording a sack, an interception, or a forced fumble? Kind of interesting, right? This player must have had a pretty good game in a bunch of different categories if they weren't getting those specific major stats we always look for a defensive player. So, which defensive player won Super Bowl MVP despite not recording a sack, interception, or forced fumble? Is it A, Von Miller? Is it B, Dexter Jackson? Is it C, Malcolm Smith? Or is it D, Ray Lewis? Again, which defensive player won Super Bowl MVP despite not recording a sack, interception, or a forced fumble? A. Von Miller, B. Dexter Jackson, C. Malcolm Smith, or D. Ray Lewis. Give your guesses down below in the comment section. Whether you're right, whether you're wrong, give you a shout out in the next episode that I'm on here at the Rams Digest. That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Hope you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're not and you're already watching right here, right now, you're still watching right here, right now, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel before you go. That's going to do it for me. I'm your host, Joshua Giron, and I'm out.